Thank you for coming on to the DeFi Bay channel. I wanted to bring on a developer.
I'm pretty much just your average tech enthusiast who's very, tech savvy and proficient with few systems here and there, ranging from crypto to your traditional web tech.
So I wanted to do this video because, well, the inevitable happened and I basically got phished, slash scammed. And I've also noticed since then on my timeline, a lot of people, most
Yep.
prominently, as of like yesterday, Kevin Rose himself got
Mhm.
scammed, and lost $1 to $2 million worth of assets, which
Yeah.
granted is a huge amount, like abstractly, but also keep in
Yeah.
mind this is less than 5% of his net worth. So if even those like Kevin Hart with the best access to people and talent and information can fall to the sort
Right.
of, whether it was a social engineering scam, or the rest of us
Right.
who simply just are out here in the Wild West.
Right.
I think it'd be a really good idea to have a refresher for the new year. It's January and we're off to a
Yeah.
strong start.
Yeah.
Um,
We can only go up from here. That's the way to think about it. We can only go
yeah,
better.
please, let's only go up from
Yeah.
here. Let's start off with self-custody, right? Using either MetaMask or Coinbase wallet or whatever you have.
Right.
Those are usually applications that you install to your device, like laptop or phone. And
Mhm.
there's generally not like a huge amount of customer service with any of these decentralized wallets to the extent of what they can help you with, right? Like if you sent funds
Right.
on a blockchain somewhere and you're like,
Right.
I didn't mean to do that, too
Right.
bad. Unless, of course,
Right.
you are, who was it? There was an exchange that actually sent an Australian woman $10 million on,
Oh yeah.
and they sued
Um,
her, and I think they're winning,
yeah.
right? They're trying to like, um,
I wonder. I wonder. I remember the last I heard of it, the
crypto.com.
lady
It was
was just not
crypto.com.
responding. Yeah, it was crypto.com. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
them. I think it was them. Yeah. Last I
Yeah.
checked, she wasn't responding. I was like, yeah, shit, I'll disappear too.
I mean, well, the
You know,
irony
oh
of
shit, this is
that is if it was the other way around and she accidentally sent X amount to whoever and tried to
right,
ask like, hey, can you send that back? That was a mistake. They'd be
right.
like, ma'am, this
Mhm.
is how the blockchain works. And they would win in court. But
Exactly.
we do it,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
so in this sort of like uneven dynamic, the little guy, right? We really have to beef up on our security like how to's, and even change the mindset of, oh well, I watched a few videos, I've been in this space X amount of years, I'll never get hacked, right? And change that to
Right.
more of like, okay, these are the escape plans, these are the steps that I'm going to take if I
Yeah.
get phished or if I get scammed. Is there a list of steps to take, for like a general list of steps to take if you've been compromised at the self-custody wallet level?
Right, right. Well, there's no real like book of 10 commandments as to what to do. I'm sure to people who work in more corporate roles and various like corporations and companies, they always have cybersecurity controls and processes that we follow. I was with JP Morgan for about for almost 3 years, and we had these procedures to follow if anything of that sort has happened. For crypto, we don't really have like that 10 commandments of things to do. But there are some things I can always recommend. The primary thing I would recommend is that you should always kind of have safe house, so kind of like a escape wallet for your assets and value. And I'm talking about, this can be your code wallet or your hardware wallet. This can be like another what's the name, kind of wallet, like a soft wallet, which is hardly interacted with, or has any ongoing interfacing with. I always think that's like a good first step. Just move your stuff as soon as you can to such a wallet. To some people, they find exchanges to be this. And yeah, exchanges can give you a certain level of security, which like, yes, you're breaking the whole ethos of crypto and everything. But then also you also have to deal with the downsides that, the exchange might not exactly support everything you hope. And, thankfully we're in a time where there's a lot of good software to kind of, streamline some things. For example, you're panicking. You're like, oh my goodness, time to move stuff. So with stuff like that, I can always recommend things like setting up like an ENS name for this safety wallet, or setting up like an unstoppable domains domain for this, safety wallet, or this safe house wallet. That way it's more like, okay, what's going on? Okay, send everything to barnyard.eth, because that's the secret safe house, stash house I've got going, that kind of thing. And that's all you do. You don't have to like double check your secret because you're panicking, you're freaking out. All right. So that's something that you definitely want to do. You want to drain your wallet, if anything, of like everything that you hold valuable into that safe house wallet. In the context of Ethereum, something I'll say is this. If you hold ETH, it's always a good next step to convert all the ETH you have. And in fact, every ERC token you have straight to ETH. ETH is a native cryptocurrency of the Ethereum blockchain, or Ether. And it's native in the sense that it's a very simple construct. It doesn't require any added logic or complex logic, i.e. smart contracts, to function or to interact with, all right? You just send stuff back and forth. It's a very low level kind of object, if you will. And why does that matter? Because most compromises are possible due to complex software interactions. Complex software interactions you would mostly only engage with when you interact with ERC20 tokens, or pretty much any ERC token in general. So you converting all your ERC tokens back into ETH as soon as you can, and people pay the premium gas. Okay, don't look for slow. Don't just pay the premium gas. It could save you a lot. All right, spend that much just to be safe. But essentially, you moving into ETH kind of makes you unsubscribe from like this world of uncertainty with regards to what software or what smart contracts run in whichever token I use, be it Uni or ENS or Maker or that or DAI. It helps me unsubscribe from that complexity. So now I'm like, okay, I'm out of the wilderness over there. Time to like now drain the wallet, if you will. So that's something I would recommend. The other thing I would recommend as well is it's all a matter of time. This is when milliseconds count, especially when you're trying to respond, if you're kind of getting to disaster recovery mode. Something I recommend as well is quickly rush into either Etherscan's token approval dashboard or revoke.cash to quickly, disengage all approvals you've set for your various tokens, so all your token approvals. So tokens on Ethereum are like shortcut icons for like a Windows PC. On a Windows computer, on your desktop, you kind of have like shortcut icons, and then like the actual applications are like in some folder somewhere. Now, the actual applications for these ERC20 tokens or these ERC tokens are pretty much the smart contracts. So they're like mini computers which you either allow external access to or you disallow external access to, that kind of thing. And that's how they operate. On the surface level, people just think they're coins, but below the surface, they're like mini computers just serving a purpose. And you only get to interact with like the shortcut icon, which is like, the token you see on your wallet or the token you see on your dashboard. So what platforms like revoke.cash and the token approval dashboard on Etherscan does for you is allow you to say remove the accesses you've granted. Because whenever say you need to use OpenSea to like say bid on an NFT, you essentially give OpenSea's programs, mini computers, i.e. smart contracts, access to your mini programs or to your user account for your mini programs. These are like your ERC20 tokens like WETH, DAI, ApeCoin, so on and so forth. So these platforms like revoke.cash and Etherscan token approval allow you to just undo that. The sooner you can undo that, the better, because chances are that your attacker is one of those people you have unintentionally given access to, because that's how they get you. They get you because of approvals. They get you because you relay a certain level of super access to them. So doing that as soon as possible is great. Now, to those who are like open to using alternative wallets other than the mainstream wallets like MetaMask, I would also recommend Rabby. Mind you, all the platforms I'm recommending, I don't work for them. I barely know whoever is behind that platform. So, I'm not shilling or marketing their stuff for them. They can do that themselves. But like a platform like Rabby.io is a great wallet which has implemented a lot of these features into their standalone wallet software. So instead of you now rushing to go to revoke.cash and hoping you got that URL correct, and then hoping that you're moving as fast as you can. You can do all of this. You can do all of this, token disabling token approvals right from the Rabby wallet, and it's like there's like a one-click button for that. It's like unapproved all access.
Yep.
Platforms like Rabby are good for that. And I think there's a sad thing about like, the crypto ecosystem as a whole, whereby, the popular platforms are not really the best out there. And then the unpopular ones are like the ones that actually like have some good stuff to it. I've always been like a big fan of my Ether wallet, and I picked that over MetaMask any day. And now Rabby is like slowly creeping up to like number 2, and MetaMask is falling down to the bottom for me. But there's just my personal commentary, if you will. But yeah, so that's one thing to
Wait, why do you choose my Ether wallet above everyone else?
Because my Ether wallet always gave me this flexibility I always looked for. So it's kind of like a Windows and a Mac OS, all right? Mac OS, they only let you do the stuff you want to, like that they expect you to do. Whereas with Windows, I can go mess around with the registry editor. I can go, tweak some things out and some configuration somewhere. My Ether wallet always gave me that flexibility, and it still does. It gives that flexibility to do normal things such as being able to like say send a message. Okay, like today, if you think about how do you send a message on the blockchain, you normally have to go use some fancy tool or something on Etherscan to do that, right? Like to those who've wondered like how you can send messages on the blockchain, my Ether wallet is something that I've always used that for. I can just type a message and it automatically just, signs and encrypts all of that onto the blockchain for me. And so whoever I need to see that. So for example, if I'm trying to tell someone, hey, meet me here, or talk to me here, or like let's DM over here, I don't need to like, I don't need to dox myself if I'm trying to stay private. I can just use a brand new wallet account and just do stuff from this. So it's just those little things and more. There's a lot of cool features that my Ether wallet offers. And I think that's one of the reasons why it broke my heart when Consensus, acquired them. I always thought they could stand on their own 2 feet, but hey, business is business, so there's that. But my Ether wallet is one wallet that, that is very progressive. It's very advanced. And I think it's a power user's heaven, if anything.
So this is my Ether wallet, which is the one that you were saying is your favorite. And you were saying
exactly
it's better than MetaMask, in your opinion.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And it's interesting because I actually started off with my Ether wallet. Like that was my first one back in 2017 before I think MetaMask existed. And then this last cycle, I don't remember why, but I think I switched over to MetaMask because literally every dApp was using it.
Had more integrations. Yeah. MetaMask definitely had more integrations with, and still has the most integrations with applications in the Ethereum ecosystem or EVM-like ecosystem. Consensus is they're very convincing. They give you an offer you can't refuse. It's one of those things where if you do your marketing right, you position the right people in terms of branding, you go places. So sometimes the most popular tech isn't the best tech, and there is that.
It's true. That applies for everything. Sometimes like the best known art isn't the best art. And I noticed here it says they'll never collect users' full IP address or exact location. Wasn't there like a big thing a while back where MetaMask
with MetaMask,
was collecting IP data?
Yeah. Apparently they didn't know. They didn't know it was happening. So
okay.
Apparently they fixed it now,
That's so bizarre. They clearly knew, and they're like, well, it's anonymized, aggregated, collected data, and we don't know anything about you. And I'm like, bet you do.
That's why chain analysis is in business. They just need a bare minimum piece of information and context to just narrow things down. It's you find people who track people online. You find all these cybersecurity experts. These things are like it's child's play to them. They just have to like track a few packets, monitor a few behaviors, and they can just have you on their GPS 24/7.
Well, it's unfortunate that there's not more integrations, or else I would probably switch back to Mew. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
regardless of the wallet, you can still, follow the same steps that you recommended, revoke cash, move everything to a dedicated cold wallet, and also ENS would help with the speediness of it.
yeah.
I will say though, in like my situation, what we dealt with the past weekend, it was a very automated
Hmm.
thing. It wasn't like a scammer manually going, aha, I've breached her MetaMask and now I'm going to manually send everything
Right.
out, right? It was instantly, almost
Yeah.
like flash loans. It was done within the same transaction of me accidentally approving or unknowingly approving unlimited WETH access. And that triggered,
Access. Yeah.
yeah. And that's why I was asking you, is there any way to just revoke all? And then Rabby was the first thing that popped up. Although Rabby is an extension, I don't know if it's on mobile.
Yeah.
I mean,
I try to limit a lot of what I do on mobile, so that I wouldn't be surprised if I don't have it.
let's see if their website
Right.
shows it. No, it's just Chrome or Brave. Firefox,
Right,
not even.
right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so that's tough.
that is a bummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, and here's the irony is like the more you are active in blockchain, the higher, your chances are of getting scammed or phished. But also, ironically,
Mhm.
the longer, more active you are in crypto, the more complacent and confident you get.
Sometimes I have to catch myself and be like, you're not untouchable yet, okay?
Mhm.
Like I've managed to spend enough years in the ecosystem and thankfully miss a lot of bullets, but like to think that I am indestructible is it's laughable. I feel like a dedicated adversary could still land some damage in some places. So definitely never be complacent, no matter how long you've been in crypto.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of like an everyday thing that you have to keep practicing, right?
Yeah.
The humility, if you will. Safety is twofold, right? It's preventative and then it's also reactive. The
Right.
preventative part being, what you said, the safe house, the ENS, um, having something like Rabby installed ahead of time, knowing about like revoke cache, how to use it, and then the part where you sit on Etherscan with the token approvals.
More. So to the right of where you are right now. Perfect.
Uh-huh.
And then down at you should see token approvals. It's in beta. So in the
Got
tool
it.
section. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And
So
then you
then you can,
search.
you can either
Good.
search an address. Yeah. Or you can connect your wallet directly by clicking the connect to Web3 button. Just do Vitalik.eth. You can never go wrong with
Oh,
Vitalik.eth.
okay.
Yeah.
So
So you can see all the things that Vitalik has pretty much allowed approvals for.
yeah, this is a good
Yeah.
good thing to check just to make sure that you have everything figured out. I know for
Exactly.
me, like I'm good about disconnecting my MetaMask after I use, dApps or websites, and then logging out, obviously. But I don't often think
Right.
to revoke and like revoke every single time. One, it's time
Exactly.
consuming. Two, it's also expensive if ETH gas prices or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
um,
It's expensive right now.
it's expensive right now, especially if you're always
Yeah.
doing NFTs, right? And you're like always approving
Right.
OpenSea or X2Y2. It's just a pain in the ass,
Exactly.
honestly.
And sometimes you're at the mercy of the token creator because they might build the most, unoptimized, smart contract to power the token. And now you have to like suffer, the pains of that in terms of gas fee. So there is that as well. Something to, also add in with regards to approvals, one of the things you can do like as preventative measures is to pick up a good habit of like, periodically, you know, deactivating your approval. So this can be every 2 to 3 months, or if you're more judicious, this can be every 30 days. Recently, Uniswap has released a new set of features to streamline that, especially for your uni holders. But they've made it open enough such that other token creators out there and developers out there can make use of it, but pretty much an automatic um, deactivation of approvals. That's what they've pretty much brought in with those features. So every 30 days, approvals get wiped off, and then you can reapprove if you still are interacting with those tokens for zero gas. Like all in all, picking up a good habit of knowing when to, deactivate and reactivate your approvals is a key thing. Something I used to do like in my early days, which I don't do as much now or anymore, if anything, is even like moving wallets, just moving between different accounts. Because, with one account, you're working with like one set of private keys and public keys and all. But then, if you're aware that, okay, you have to be on the move, you always have to like move to a different account, just so you're safe. It's kind of like, back when and this is something I picked up due to like me working in banking. We had this threshold period where we would always have to wipe our keys and create new keys. When you look at some other advanced blockchain ecosystems, like say Cardano, the validators or the people who would pass for miners in that ecosystem have this thing called key KS. It's a key something. It's beating me right now. Forgive me. All right, I'll figure it out later. I'll add in the comments if it gets posted out there. But pretty much what this feature does, this KS feature does, is it allows the validators to automatically destroy the existing keys and create new keys to keep doing the work they do. So like, long range attacks and, all of those things in that context become relatively impossible. But coming back to things, so pretty much bringing in the thought of being able to always refresh your keys if possible, if that's within your reach, and also refreshing your approvals. Essentially, being able to refresh your approvals is something I would recommend as a good habit to take up.
Okay, yeah. So we have like the preventative part, which is to basically do your due diligence and set up all these safe measures that we talked about, and then we have the reactive parts. So let's go into more of that, because like when it first happened, one of the things that I wasn't sure of was the type of breach or the type of compromise. Like, was it on just a dApp level, the MetaMask, or was it on a browser level, or worse, was it on my entire computer level? Like, how do you know?
That's a very good question. In fact, that is the question. Everything when you're entering this panic mode, you need to like, like just try to catch yourself a bit and start backtracking your steps. How did I get here? Did I just install an application that I had never seen before in my life or heard about before in my life? Did I, I don't know, get a random email that made me download a file, or a random email that made me update my browser? Did I do that? It's like you're backtracking all the steps you did. Did I visit a website I hardly visit? Okay.
Right.
When I Google search, exactly. When I went to Google search, did I click the very first option that was provided to me? Because mental notes, usually the very first options on Google search are ads.
Sponsored. Yeah, that's NFT God.
Exactly.
So we can talk about that too, because it's 3 different types of hacks, right? The one that happened to me, not hack, sorry, phishing. Right. The one that happened to NFT God, and then most recently Kevin Rose.
Exactly. Right. So these are like the steps you're backtracking on to make sure, like, okay, did any of these things happen? If not, then let's keep going forward. When did this shit hit the fan? That's the thing. Like, when the shit hit the fan, that's when you need to get closer to that. Oh, it was right when I signed this transaction. Did I know what I was signing? Naturally, in my everyday use of crypto and the blockchain, will I have even interacted with this application? Okay, or was this like a one-time thing? Was this like a thing of the moment kind of thing? Spur of the moment kind of thing. These are the questions you want to keep asking before you can narrow down on like what exactly could be your culprit right there. Once you've done that, you can then react. So if you're like, oh, I actually signed a transaction for something that I don't always do, that could be it. Go deactivate approvals. Go. I installed a software that I normally don't. Go uninstall it. Get my antivirus. Go. Okay. Or I don't know, plug out the Wi-Fi. Plug out the Wi-Fi. Turn the computer off.
So in NFT God's case, where he clicked on a Google sponsored ad to download the OBS streaming software, are you saying that uninstalling that would have prevented the damage?
Not directly. It depends on who. It depends on like the level of attack you're talking about. If it's like an amateur, then yeah, sure, probably uninstalling the software would have done the trick. But if it's a pro, pretty much the software is like a payload. The real damage is a Trojan. So it's already ejected itself from like the software you thought you downloaded into your system. So uninstalling wouldn't do much. The best you could have done, okay, was like quickly turn off your computer, quickly turn off your Wi-Fi to kind of break any kind of connection. All right, because you have to assume that within that time they are streaming data from your computer. Pretty much like you have these things we call ports, which are open. All right, and some of these ports should be closed, but that's what these malicious software do. They open the ports which like normally shouldn't be open, and they run business from them. Think of that as like an underground route. All right, from your computer. So in scenarios like that, the first thing you want to quickly do, deactivate your internet connection. Deactivate that, or better, just turn off your computer. And you have to assume that, that's assuming that time is on your side, because we're talking about milliseconds. So, that's what, likely happened with NFT God. They instantly got, access to start, download and, pretty much extracting that data over the internet. To do all of that, and they need an active internet connection to be able to keep doing that. All right, or they may have gone, what do you call the malware that changes your computer into a zombie? I'll call it zombie malware. Okay, pretty much the kind of malware that takes control over your computer. So like you don't know that someone behind is like moving your mouse and accessing your file system and everything. You don't know that, but they are doing that. All right, so they're doing it, actually going through exactly what they need to find. It's either that or they have like one sophisticated script which just hits play and it's just full on, scorched earth. They're just robbing your computer of data, just like that. And most of these attackers, they usually have a short list of things they should look out for, such as, is MetaMask installed? Such as, what kind of browser are you using? Such as, what kind of operating system are you using? Such as, what versions of these software are you using? Because normally, that's why we have to keep our softwares up to date, because normally these new updates come to patch certain loopholes that may exist. And these attackers who would attack you from like having you install an application, they bet on these loopholes. So they have one script which just runs all of these checks. And if they're getting a lot of thumbs up on there, it's take it back home. It's just scrub everything.
So at that point, it's just go offline, shut your computer off. Don't even try to uninstall it.
Yeah. Like just cut anything that connects you to the internet. Just cut it. Like I don't know if you've seen movies. There are movies where they have to like cut the wire just to break the connection.
That's so dramatic and so Hollywood. So you like slam your computer shut. Like then what? How do you?
Yeah. I mean, from there, that's when you want to like, if you have internet security, if you have a premium service, call them, say, hey guys, I think something went south. Or you call a buddy who's like really good with internet security, and they can set you up with like the right, sandbox environment or air gapped environment to like, go recheck some things. What you can do is you can boot into your, well, this is a bit more technical, but you can boot into your local computer using another local computer which you own, and then you can, remotely kind of access and start undoing things from it. But that's if you know what you're doing. That's super complicated.
Yeah, that's a bit complicated.
Yeah, that's a bit complicated. But yeah, so the key thing is for you to, and that's another thing as well. People should learn, especially if they're working with crypto a lot, or especially when they know they deal with like, torrents or like just the unconventional tech spaces of parts of the web. If they do that a lot, they should know that they should separate, their machines. The stuff you do for your Facebook and your Twitter and all of that stuff, you keep it isolated from the stuff you do with your crypto and your nitty gritty, funny, all these stuff on the darknet and everything. You need to have two separate computers for that. Sounds a lot, but it's the best thing to do, because that way you are able to prevent, the spread. So that's what happens when you download software that you don't know, you don't understand, you probably shouldn't understand. Always double check, the websites you click, the links you click, especially when you're using Google search. I always recommend keep like a bookmark or like a favorites list of the websites for sure you always visit. Just bookmark them. So if you're uncertain, you can just go to your favorites and just click right there.
The scammers have gotten really good at impersonating legitimate websites. And I don't have two separate machines for regular internet use versus crypto use, although I have heard that is a good precaution to do. It's very, very hard though, because a lot of it is starting to get integrated, right? Like in order to do certain things in Web3, they always ask you to connect your Discord, connect your Twitter, connect all of
Right.
these social media
Yeah.
integrations. And it's almost impossible to not do that stuff without those social media integrations in crypto. So we've talked about the NFT God scam. He was phished. He downloaded a really good fake website, and that was malware, and it drained all of his passwords, wallets, Substack. But then yesterday, Kevin Rose was phished, and they said that he signed a approve all transaction. Do you know what happened?
Essentially, Kevin Rose, some way somehow, was presented with a transaction to sign, and Kevin Rose didn't exactly understand what he was signing, because usually this comes in a gibberish format. You're seeing some kind of hexadecimal string or what have you. And that's usually how most transactions on Ethereum happen, and most Ethereum like chains like Polygon, BNB. So what happened to Kevin Rose on Ethereum could have happened on Avalanche or Polygon or any other like chain that works like Ethereum. Kevin Rose was presented with was a transaction which said, "Hey, Kevin Rose, can you add a guest account to your computer that holds $2 million?" That's pretty much what was presented with Kevin Rose in that gibberish format. But Kevin Rose didn't see it that way because his wallet didn't, provide it that way. To him, he just saw it as, "Oh, this is a regular transaction." Guess what? It doesn't, take out any gas fees as well. Right? And that's another misconception people have. People think that if a transaction you're signing does not involve a gas fee or gas transaction, it doesn't affect the chain, or it doesn't touch the chain. And that is not the case.
I thought the thing that happened was he approved like a batch approvals. You said there was no revoke all, but he was able to approve all.
Right. Exactly. So just like you have a revoke all, you can have an approve all, but it's all about how sophisticated the person building, creating this construct is. Remember, like when we spoke the other weekend, you noticed that you have to constantly keep clicking approving. You have to keep approving certain things. That let me know that, okay, whoever built this is an amateur, right? They were not smart enough to know how to aggregate all these approvals into one, right? But with Kevin Rose, he definitely was good for that work. So what did they do? They built a very, sophisticated piece of, tech that just required one signature that, to sign an aggregated batch of approvals. And that's exactly what Kevin Rose did. So it was like, "Hey, can you give me access to one computer, but secretly you're giving me access to all your computers?" Exactly.
Wait, but then they can't apply this to revoke.cash and use the same thing to revoke?
Well, I guess so. That's why I guess Rabby wins over those two other platforms, right? It's like if Rabby can do revoke all and revoke.cash is one job, cannot do, and I don't care if the revoke.cash team come from my head, they can eat dung. But like, it's like, why isn't that there? So revoke.cash, get your shit together, right?
Love it. Well, okay, so we have 8 minutes left because I have a free Zoom account.
Yeah.
Is there like a closing words of advice or anything you want to add?
Well, a few things. If you're presented with a transaction and you can't understand what it is you're seeing, run. Okay. And if you want to kind of live better around that, there's a project called Fire. I'll also recommend people, looking before you leave, just paying attention to everything you do, the websites you visit, just double check, the sites you visit. Yeah, that's Fire. Make sure you look in the right URLs. Try to build a favorites list in your browser of like the websites you like to visit. I know you like to be BGents out there, people, but then sometimes it's just be the last person to mint, or just be the last person to buy on secondary market. You never know what people have out there these days. But also another thing I would say is a lot of these complications and difficulties are a very Ethereum specific problem. There are numerous ecosystems out there that are like far more advanced, and for that matter, have been able to surpass these limitations or complications that you normally find in, Ethereum like ecosystems. For example, you have Algorand out there, which has this very nifty feature that doesn't allow anyone to just airdrop anything into your wallet. All right. So on Ethereum, I can just airdrop anything to you. On Algorand, if you airdrop anything to me, it doesn't really come to me. I have to kind of decide if I want to accept it or not. For other ecosystems like the Cardano ecosystem, they use a very, novel transaction recording model, which is the extended UTXO model. And pretty much it's very fine grained in a way, whereby everything you do whenever you're running a transaction is very explicit. It shows you what UTXOs you're spending, or like what pieces of value or assets you're interacting with, what is going out and what is coming in. So if you see a transaction, you thought that, oh, I was just signing to log in, but for some reason you can see like 10 NFTs like going out, that should be like, what the hell? So what like platforms like Cardano does natively, you know, platforms like Fire kind of brings in as like a third party feature. And so essentially the crux of this is, you know, sometimes there is good tech out there. Web3 isn't doomed because of the limitations of one ecosystem or the other. There are always other ecosystems that are very advanced and capable of keeping your value and experiences, you know, very secure. And I would always advocate for people to venture out there. Be a nomad. People like to be digital nomads. So be Web3 nomads, if you will. Invest in 2FA. All right. You want to get a very good password manager to manage your stuff. YubiKeys are a good thing to have. YubiKeys kind of work like authentication devices. And don't talk to strange people on the internet. I think that's my last one.
That's the entire Web3 space. What are you talking about?
Right? You know? Yeah, a little shout out to Kevin Rose. You know, super sorry that happened to you, dude. If you ever see this, which I hope you do, because DeFi Bay makes the best content out there. We know you're gonna bounce back. You know, we're all in this together. You know, I don't know about WagMe, but I know we're all in this together. So.
I promise I did not pay him to say all these things. That was very comprehensive. Thank you so much. I feel smarter.
Big bright world.
Expensive lesson, but well, expensive lessons are probably the most effective.
Yeah, it's you know, there's a scene in the Batman movie in the first Batman Begins. It's like, why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. So, you know, it's we fall so we can learn to pick ourselves up, and you know, we can only go up.
Write off our taxes. I hope this is a write off, but I just want to say thank you again.
Cheers.